Welcome to FedScoop TV. I'm Whitney Wyckoff. Joining me today at the 2015 Data Innovation Summit is Julie Furt. She's Vice President of Worldwide Consulting and Training Services at MarkLogic. Welcome.
Thank you.
So there's a lot of buzzwords floating around today. Open data, big data, transparency, open government, enterprise, agility, all kinds of buzzwords. But my question to you is, where is the real movement or progress taking place today? And are any one of these areas really driving the activity that's happening in agencies right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So the buzzwords themselves, I mean, people are looking at taking their individual mission problems and taking them to a cut above so that they can go out to industry and find benchmarking. And so ultimately, like at the end of the day, what all of those things boil down to is trying to unlock the value of their data and then find other data that allows them to solve their mission problems better. So they're really looking at data aggregation and then data analytics on top of that. And if you talk about big data, you talk about how fast you can get it in or the volumes that you can get it in. You look at open data, well, it's about getting more data from other people and how do you do the sharing. But at the end of the day, that's what they're focused on, and that's where the real innovation's happening. So they're able to do that much more efficiently with these new technologies that facilitate a lot of that.
Okay, great. And data innovation in government is as much about cultural change as it is about technology. Where is government today in terms of the cultural and attitude changes that need to take place to move to that open data by default approach to data innovation?
Yeah, so in the government space, it's always a balance between the public's right to have access to the data and the need to protect sensitive data for things that are security related. The culture really has shifted. If you go back 15, 20 years, a lot of the focus was around there's no harm in not sharing, but if you did share and you gave up something that was potentially an issue, then there was a penalty to it. That culture has shifted. Post 9/11, we've evolved past that because there's that need to have the public have access to the data for the betterment of everyone. And so now it's finding that balance and who needs to have access, under what controls, what security measures need to be placed in there, and then how do you get the right information to the right people.
Interesting. Now, how do you see the worlds of open data, big data, analytics, and mobile coming together? And what are the potential impacts for government services and interagency collaboration?
Yeah, so if you go back 20, 30 years, what you end up seeing is people have to go to a DMV, or they have to go get their records, or they show up at a place and then they file a request and then they come back at some point in time, usually weeks later, to get that information. Now you can really look at crowdsourcing as a way of getting better intelligence for all of us. So we have a customer at Fairfax County who, if you go and you download their mobile app, you can be driving around looking at properties in Fairfax County and say, hey, I really like that house, and maybe I'll go see what they've been doing. And then you can pull up all the land use records and see all the permits and see that they did renovations 3 years ago or something like that. And it's all tied into the geospatial aspects of it, as well as having access to what is seamless to the end user, but actually turns out to be a lot of different systems all aggregated together and through mobile. And so you start to see that with applications like Waze, where it's all crowdsourced. And you get that at a bunch of different levels. And in the government space, you have different agents out there, whether or not that's Customs and Border Patrol, and they're all inputting data into an application that then centralized, or if you go out in the mission on the military side. And that's really what all of this open data and big data leads you to have those collaboration spaces with the data.
Oh, interesting. Now, given what we've talked about so far, what are the implications for the next generation of federal IT workers? What expertise are we really looking for here?
So they're really going to have to be almost data librarians.
Interesting.
So it goes beyond, in the past, it was a lot about understanding what mission or problem are we trying to solve, and therefore what feature functionality do I need to provide somebody, and the transactional system was more about data entry or building a report on top of a system. And now it's a curator of the data. So I need to solve this mission problem, but what systems do I need to have access to in order to solve that, and who owns that data? What MOUs do I need to get in place to share the data, and becoming that curator? And it's a shift, because they have to become subject matter experts in the business that they're doing, both on the feature functionality side as well as on where does that data live.
Oh, interesting. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
You're welcome.
Great. I'm Whitney Wyckoff, and you're watching FedScoop TV.